Inside PressBox is presented by Friedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Go to Friedmont.com now for all of your mortgage needs. And welcome to another edition of Inside PressBox. If I look a little tanner, it's because I just got back from a week down in sunny but chilly Sarasota, Florida. But I think we have a hot show for you this week, but I'll let you decide. Our intrepid Inside PressBox reporter Derek Watte hit the streets to sample Ravens fans' opinion of Ozzie Newsome now in light of the rapid-fire rebuild of this always feared defense that, despite winning a Super Bowl, had lost much of its teeth. We'll also visit with head men's basketball coach at Johns Hopkins University, Bill Nelson, who was having a pretty quiet offseason until one of his star former players, Andy Enfield, went and became the first head coach in the history of the men's NCAA tournament to guide a number 15 seed into the Sweet 16. But first, these have been perhaps the best and worst of times for Towson University athletics, as the school ended two popular longtime programs, baseball and soccer, right at the very moment that two other programs, football and basketball, have reached heights heretofore unimaginable. And joining us now is the head coach of that football program. He is Rob Ambrose, damn good football coach and a friend of the show. I appreciate your coming in.
Glad to be here.
I mentioned that these are the best and worst of times. I know you and Pat Skiri have taken these two programs to as high as you can get them imaginable in Towson history, but at the same time, a couple other programs go by the wayside. What's the effect on the rest of the morale in the athletic department?
It's difficult. It's difficult, and personally, it's extremely difficult. I was here before when they tried to drop football, and I don't think there's pretty much anybody on campus who knows what those kids are going through better than myself, and it's a hard time.
How does it affect your ability to go out there and work every day at making your program better? When I know you had to know the coaches over there in soccer and baseball, you knew them well.
No, they've both been here for an extremely long period of time, and Mike Gottlieb. This is, we're aging both of us when I say this, that Mike actually recruited me a little bit to be a baseball player at one time. So, I mean, these guys have been there for a long time. They're in history programs. As far as the kids go, especially in reference to football, we make a habit of eliminating distractions for the cause, so to speak. And if we spent too much energy looking outside what our goals were and what we needed to do to get done, that would be affected. And considering the past and what didn't happen last year, even though we did have such great success, our guys are really focused on what our job is moving forward, and they really haven't seen much outside of that. They got schoolwork and they got ball. Now, when we arranged to have you come in, it was about a month ago, right at the end of that Towson Center, the historic Towson Center finale there. Pat Skiri's team was victorious in that finale. You're just starting your spring practice. In fact, the day we're taping this, you started this morning, 5:30 in the morning. Well, that's what time we were on the field. We started a little bit earlier than that, but yeah, 5:30.
Now, you told me right before the show that you and some of the rest of the staff there were sort of thinking of what it's like now versus 5 years ago. What are the most startling changes, Rob?
If you have the ability to take you take pictures from before and after, if you could take a video snapshot of what it was before and what it is now, night and day, picture two opposing ends of a spectrum, however you wish to see them, that's what it is. That we have guys that know how to practice, they know why they have to practice the way they do to obtain the goals of which they need to obtain, they want to obtain, and they do it together, and they do it without fail. And now we have guys that, come in January, and this is their first semester, a very small group of individuals who don't quite know exactly how we do what we do, but because they want to be a part of it so badly, they find out before we get on the field. And today, it's 5:30 in the morning, and it was snowing and sleeting, and it was terrible and miserable, and our guys are out there practicing like they've been doing it all year long.
Tell us a little bit about, what's going to be different this year on your football team.
Well, we graduated some really impressive football players.
Yeah.
That, we had a quarterback who's second team all-league, and the only reason he's not first team is because the guy that's first team is, first team All-American. But Grant, we're going to miss him. I got defensive ends, two great defensive ends, and an interior defensive lineman that were all-conference players, a safety that was an All-American. So, and that's just to name a few. So there are huge holes that need to be filled. But the good news is that we have some amazingly consistent aspects of our team that are still there. Our offensive line is mostly all seniors, very experienced with backup guys that get it. So we have a really good running back in Terrence West. Somebody might have said his name once or twice. He's not too bad. And a returning linebacker core and a really veteran secondary. So there's a lot of good stuff, even though we're losing such great players.
Now, you've lost some good players, but the other aspect of the good news is that you've been able to recruit now based on success. I know I've probably asked you this question a couple times. I've had you on before. How much different is it when you get into a parent's home and you're not 1-11 or 2-10, but you're coming off of championship type runs?
To be honest, the difference starts before you get in the home. That you're getting
it's whose homes you're getting into.
This is true. You're getting into high school instead of the high school coach giving you the second and third tier guys. He's thrilled to death that you're walking in the door. That the Towson name now has some cachet to it, and that people want to send their kids here. And academically, we've always kind of grown ourselves into that. But football-wise now, Towson football is synonymous with a top 10 championship program. It makes recruiting a heck of a lot easier in every way.
You know, I had the head coach of Loyola's lacrosse team in here, Charlie, and we were talking a little bit about how when you have success, you suddenly get a lot of kids that may not be your type of kids want to come. Are you finding that that's a flip side of success, is that you have to be a little bit more selective about who is a Rob Ambrose, who's a Tiger type of player?
We haven't changed our perspective on how we go recruit and who we go recruit. But the availability of the entire scope of athlete, from guys that believe that they're 1A guys to lower level guys, has grown for us. So the pool is bigger, but we'll still keep doing it the way we're doing it. We go find good kids who are good football players that have great character, that want to get a degree. And the thing that's more exciting than any of that when it comes out in the wash is that all these kids that we recruit now, they want to be here. And nothing to the guys down the road, but I know guys that they would rather go to school here and play football here than at College Park or James Madison or some of our other sister schools. And to have that be the norm now, especially as an alum.
Because you're an alum and you played in the team.
It's awesome.
I've got some questions I want to ask you personally, but I've got to ask you one thing. The Ravens just this past week signed Elvis Dumervil. You got to know Elvis a little bit because you played Louisville,
yes,
where he played at, and you said that he was what?
When I coached at UConn and we played Louisville, he is one of the few defensive linemen. There aren't many of these guys now, but he's just one of the few defensive linemen that we actually had to game plan for. It wasn't the 11-man scheme that they were putting up. He was such a good ball player. He was such a good pass rusher that we never left our tackles alone. And to be honest, we never left our tackles alone. And one out of the two of those guys is playing for the Giants now. So he's that good.
So Ozzie Newsome able to quickly shift gears. And, boy, I wrote a piece while I was away in Florida, though, the competitiveness between him and Elway. Elway wins those 3 AFC championships against Ozzie. Now it's 20 years later, and Ozzie hasn't forgotten that.
As you go through all the stuff with the free agency and who they're messing with, I'm the college guy. Everybody trust Ozzie.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
Trust Ozzie.
Now, I got to ask you a question. On a personal level, I've become fairly friendly over the years. We're not best buds by any means, but you're at Towson. This is the job you always wanted. I'm looking around now at a guy like Shaka Smart, who took VCU to some big heights, getting some big paychecks down at VCU, but he's in demand. Andy Enfield, who took a former Hopkins player, who's taken Florida Gulf Coastal.
Love that story.
That's a great, great story. He's going to be in demand. Is Rob Ambrose in demand? And I know Mike Waddell might be watching this, but do you have your sights at a higher level of football?
Well, to be mentioned in the same phraseology as the guys that you just said is pretty humbling. The shock is there aren't enough words.
Yeah.
As far as the plans, there were no plans for this. The goal is to wake up every morning and do it as well as you can do it for the right reasons. The rest always takes care of itself. This is my town. This is my school. It's my state. My parents live here. My daughter was born here. Has there been interest? Of course. But it's going to take a pretty special situation to pull me away.
Your relationship with Mike Waddell, these have been tough times for school president and Mike. Your relationship stronger than ever with Mike?
Nothing's changed since day one. The people above me have very difficult jobs and have to make very difficult decisions. We all do in managerial situations. There's stuff that I don't even know. But in the end, you got to trust the people that you believe in and that they're doing things for the right reasons. And I have no reason not to trust anybody. There's a hashtag or a moniker around here called One Towson, and it's grown thanks to Mike Waddell. There's a reason for that. And I don't have all the answers, but I know we always try to do the best for the kids and the best for the university.
You played LSU last year. Is there somebody on the schedule this year that's that interesting?
Is it that interesting? We're one of the few teams that played 2 top 25 teams during the season last year as a 1AA school, so that just describes how crazy we are. But no, this year we're only playing one. We'll open with UConn the last Thursday in August, and I'll head back to some of my old stomping grounds and see how we can do up there.
Thanks for coming in for a candid chat, and I appreciate your friendship.
Anytime.
When we get back, we're going to hear from the most famous Division III basketball coach this week, that's Johns Hopkins, Bill Nelson. That's coming up next. Inside PressBox is presented by Friedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. Go to Friedmont.com now for all of your mortgage needs.